I got a great guest coming up here. Susan Goodrich is a transformational life coach over there at Soul Lutions, which is spelled Soul-U-Tions. That's in Cornwall, Ontario, Canada, but virtually she can help anybody. So the website again is SOUL-U-TIONS.com. And what Susan does is she has these awesome different programs. She does one-on-one transformational life coaching, of course, as I told you. She also has a 6-month program called Become the Butterfly You Were Meant to Be. And she has a 6-week group coaching program called Transform Your Inner Enemy. And she's got a great topic for today. So if you have a question, you can call 631-730-7376, or you can use instant feedback. Just give me your name, where you're from, and ask your question to Susan. I'll ask it for you, and you can hear from one of the top life coaches in North America. So with no further ado, guys, I'm excited. The one and only Susan Goodrich Show with Miss Susan Goodrich. Hey, Susan, how are you?
I'm really well. How are you doing, Casey?
Uh,
Happy New Year.
yeah, same to you, my friend. Did you have a good
Thank
one?
you. I did. Yes. Quiet, but yes, it was good.
All right. Well, that's good. Yeah. So, we actually we got something in common here. We got a little snow here today. So,
Mm,
anyway, let's before we get into your great topic today, I was just telling people about the one-on-ones and the 6-month, the 6-week. Can you just kind of fill in the blanks? Anything you want the audience to know before we get going on today's great discussion?
yeah, sure. I think the Transform Your Inner Enemy kind of speaks for itself, its title. Become the Butterfly. That's a little bit of an open one. I may have to rename that one, but I really mostly work with conscious female entrepreneurs who struggle with self-doubt and overwhelm, and it really affects their bottom line, the bottom line of their energy, and of course of their dollars, like their businesses, right?
Mhm.
So what I do is I help them to unleash their unique, authentic gifts and have fun in all the elements of their business. So that's really in fact, that's my focus for this year, is how to have more fun doing everything, right? So at the end of the day, that we also have more energy so we can go and play in the rest of our lives. So
Mhm.
that's kind of what my focus is this year, is just helping people bring more fun to their, to their businesses.
Nice. Well, that is a great thing to help people with. So, let's talk about your great topic today. Do you want to introduce it?
Okay, so yeah, I wanted to talk about how you can up level our self-worth.
Great topic. So,
Thank you.
how can you level up? Like, we're talking about self worth, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how it's easier said than done. So, if I ask you how can we level up or up level our self worth? What would you say?
Okay, well, I think number one, the first thing we need to do is unhook our self-worth to our self-worth, our net worth. I think I may have mentioned that before. you know, where we think that we're only worthy what we actually have in our bank account. Um, uh, but I think one of the things that's really important, and this is what I help other people do, is claim their gifts, right? As I mentioned earlier, and find their authenticity, um, through, and then by giving themselves permission to have it, because I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves permission. We might know that we have these gifts, but somewhere we're not really claiming it. So what happens is that we might be hiding them, right? We might be hiding our gifts. We're not able to share them with other people, right? Maybe we're hiding our voice or our art or our creativity, right?
Hmm.
Right? Things that, so when we're not sharing them, right, there's something that's holding us back. And did you know that when you hold back your creativity and you don't share it in the world, you're not being authentic to yourself?
Is it a little bit about being vulnerable?
For sure, right? For sure. Yeah, because yeah, so I know that when we can be authentic in you know, in all you do, then your self-worth will up level. And, to be authentic, it's kind of scary to be authentic
Yeah.
because for sure, it's because it feels really vulnerable, which is
Hmm.
what you just said. Yeah. It says, um,
You're putting yourself out there, right? You're really, really, really trying.
absolutely. And, but when you're able to own who you are and step into your own power, then you'll be able to show up a little bit differently, right? Like it won't be so scary,
Hmm.
right? um so what I've noticed that a lot of people, especially women, right, are afraid of being visible, right? Because
Okay.
they often get frozen in your tracks, right, from
Uh-huh.
fear. And your fear is causing you to, he might even want to cause you to run away to avoid being visible, right? uh, because you're afraid to be seen, heard, or understood, or that you'll be rejected, right? That or
Right.
that you will not be seen, heard, or understood, I should say, right? That you'll be rejected, and that's probably happened to us when we're little,
Hmm.
right? Certainly when we're 3 and we're dancing around and we're doing what we're gifted at doing, and we're making too much noise and we're being told to be quiet. Right? Or
Yeah.
when we're little, we're in our authentic selves. But when people don't take the time to listen to us and to see us and to honor what those gifts are, then we feel rejected. And then we show up being really fearful of expressing ourselves when we get older, right? See this a lot with women trying to promote their businesses. Because if you're someone who has to create videos or podcasts or even a website or Facebook copy, right, to introduce yourself and your services or your business, right, to your audience, it can
Hmm.
be really, really intimidating.
Yeah. To expose yourself on paper or in a project. I mean, that's kind of tough. You expect a lot of judgment, and you know, if you don't have the correct confidence, it could be a tough day.
Yeah, because I think what happens is that when we don't embrace those gifts and we're not showing up fully as our full authentic self, then the energy that shows up is not fully authentic. And people can actually energetically can see right through that,
Wow.
right? Right? They can really see right through that. Like it's because we're not showing up fully in our power, right? We show up differently. Like there's an energy that's very different. I kind of like to think of the vibrational scale of emotion, right? When we're in our lower vibrationals, when we're in the lower emotions like fear and anger and grief and sadness, right? We're actually repel people, right? We're not magnetic. And when we're in what Christy Marie Sheldon calls love or above, it's when we're in love or joy. And that's why I really want to bring play and fun to people.
Hmm.
Right? I want for them to show them how to do this, right? How to really get into the higher vibrational emotions, because then we become magnetic. And that's when we start to invite other things in. And then when we're in our own authenticity, we are truly magnetic. And so, we can have more fun. Everything flows a lot. People want to be with us. They want to work with us.
Are we less sensitive when we get to that point?
Well, yeah, I want to say yes. I want to say yes. Like I just like I have some examples here where some of this shows up, like even on a date,
Okay, yeah, we want to hear
right?
that.
Like you're
Yeah.
going on a date and you're kind of sweating it, right? Right. Well, and I'm just kind of referring to my notes here because I think there's something really powerful that showed up here when I was writing about this. Like I said, it can happen on a date. Instead of being excited about the prospect of a great date, you start questioning yourself. You start thinking, am I good enough? Am I pretty enough? Am I thin enough? Am I worthy enough? Right? It's that whole underlying piece where we're not really fully standing in our power. We're not really owning who we are at our core. But when you can do that, right? When you're able to stand in your and embrace your perfect uniqueness, right? Then you know that you're more than enough.
Hmm.
You really do.
It seems like a big confidence comes with it.
Yeah, it does. Like self-worth, self-confidence. It's
Self-esteem.
also where we do a lot of start doing self-care. And self-compassion is one of the foundations of creating all of this.
That's big.
And I know, yeah. So, one of the ways we can start to step into our authenticity and get over that fear, and this is just, you've heard me talk about this tool. It's my feelings and needs list.
Yeah,
Right?
tell us again. I love it.
You know what? It shows up everywhere that I'm writing marketing copy, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can use the words in the feelings and needs list because that's how it works. It works everywhere. It's showing up for me absolutely everywhere. But one of the things, and it's interesting because I've been listening to Mel Robbins. She's got this new book called The High Five Habit. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I haven't heard that.
She has it on Audible. And she's also the one who wrote the 5-second rule. You can find her on YouTube on that one. Anyway, so this is very similar to one of the things that she does. So it's kind of like about, how I use the list is I kind of, I use it first thing in the morning. And what it can require you to do is get really still to be able to hear your feelings. And I want to talk a little bit about this and what's showing up for one of my clients. What happens is that in order to really drop into what we're feeling and be able to identify what we're feeling, a lot of us, first of all, don't have language for feelings. Second, we don't take the time to listen to our feelings, right? So the best time to do this is when you first wake up in the morning. And you just take a moment and take your awareness into your heart space. Right? You need to kind of go within, because that's really where our self-confidence comes from, our self-worth. It's when we're in a referral. But we need to also take the time to listen to ourselves, right? You can even, and Mel does this, she talks about putting your hands on your heart. She's even got science around this about the vagus nerve, like stimulating the vagus nerve.
Wow.
And really what I would invite you to do, because when you put your hands on your heart, it just helps you to bring your awareness inside to that part of your body. Some people don't really know what I mean by, connecting to the inside, right? Taking your awareness inside. Not everybody understands that. And I go, what do you mean? We're always looking outside. We're kind of taught to do that, to look outside.
Yeah, that's so true.
Thank you. And so this listening might first be totally foreign to you, but with practice, you'll get the hang of it. I have a client who was trying this and was really struggling to identify what she was feeling. And then I was like, okay, I wasn't really sure how to guide her. So I was talking to another colleague of mine about this. And she said she had a client that took her 4 months, even though she was taking her through these practices, it took her 4 months to be able to identify and name the feeling. And our own coaching mentor has a story where she was in Sedona, Arizona. And I don't know if you know, but that's kind of it's a place where people go for their spiritual awakenings. Like it's because it just has the environment for that. And she had this feeling, but it took her, I think, a couple of days to identify what she was feeling. So, I tell this so that, that you don't give up on it, that just kind of learning to stay with it, to getting really silent. And like I said, to be really silent with it and to be able to listen on what's going on inside is, we need to kind of be in what we call our, rest and digest. And a lot of times we wake up in the morning and we're not in our rest and digest. Some of us wake up in that place where we're, I do sometimes. I wake up really frustrated or really angry or really. I was just going to ask you, how do you wake up, Casey?
Normally, my circadian rhythm kicks in the most when I got to get up, and I wish I could change that. So I wake up tired, but
you
grateful.
Wake up tired,
but grateful.
But grateful. Well, that's great. That's awesome. That's a really great way to wake up. A lot of people don't do that because we're so used to jumping out of bed and running to jumping in the shower
Get
and
your
maybe shoveling
coffee,
some.
right?
Yep, get the coffee. Yeah, feed the cat.
Yeah, yep.
Get the kids to school, get ourselves dressed, get ourselves out the door. Of course, we don't have to do that so much anymore. A lot of people are still working from home. So, but we'll often wake up where it's kind of, we don't feel so great,
Yeah, yeah,
we're not
true.
so happy. And, I had a situation on Monday even that it had a situation with a client, and I was feeling kind of really beating myself up. I was really angry with myself for the way I had performed. I'm like, oh my God, and it was like, so I was really angry. And I was like, and well, it wasn't really necessarily about how I performed. What I found was when I really dropped into what I was feeling and I took the moment to really listen to what was going on, I realized that I had overworked myself. I
Oh,
had gone from 6:30 in the morning till 7:30 at night, and I hadn't allowed myself to play, like to really have a break
yeah.
and really, and this is why even though fun is the thing that I want to bring to everything, I became really aware that I hadn't done it. And I was really, there was this younger part of myself who I call little, and little was very unhappy that she hadn't got to play.
It's like
She really,
overtraining.
yeah, she hadn't got to play. And so she was really mad, that she didn't get a chance to play. And when I came from my powerful adult part of myself, or this self-compassionate part of myself. And I'm like, oh, I see that you're really sad that we didn't get to play. And just by even acknowledging that dissipated that energy of anger. It was like,
Wow.
oh, I felt so much love for myself,
Just that
and
you understood that
compassion.
one little
Like,
thing.
yeah, it is so important to really listen to what is going on inside of us, right? It's really important, because when we can have that compassion for that, other part of ourselves that we, maybe needs our attention, needs to be seen, needs to be heard, needs to be loved, right?
Yep.
Needs to be accepted, right? It really starts with us.
I agree. I think it makes a lot of sense because you know they say if you're in a plane that's going down, you got to put your mask on first
Yeah.
before you help anybody else. So you know you're probably always going to be thinking about what other people think, unless you're like you said, you're your authentic self.
Authentic self. Yeah. Yeah. So when we can be really authentic, and when we can't connect with our own emotions, what we're really feeling, we're masking, right? We're really masking. We're putting on a mask to protect, to squash that part of ourselves, or not show our true authenticity, right?
Mm.
And when we can meet our own emotional needs through this process, then we start to show up more authentically.
Wow, that's those are some good thoughts to have. You got a lot of people that wrote in. Um, do you want to take a couple questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, you got Kelly in Maine. I felt cut off from the world ever since I lost my job due to COVID. Feel this extra time and get myself back on track.
Um, well, if she feels cut off, my question is, has she cut herself off? I'd have to have a conversation about that. I don't know if I have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
direct answer for sure. I invite Kelly from Maine to just book a discovery call with me. I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with her, because that there's questions. I don't know if she's blocked herself from her own emotions, whether there could be levels of shame that are in there. We want to shift those for sure,
Mm.
right? To higher levels for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
And how does Kelly get a hold of you?
She can go to solutions.com and click on on book a discovery call.
Okay.
Or she can go to Transform with Sue at gmail.com and just reach out to me that way, or transformwithsue.com is also the same email or website address. So there's two ways to get to me on the website, through solutions.com or transformwithsue.com. There is a button there that lets you book a discovery call. You just click on it and it'll show up my calendar, and you just pick a time and it'll coordinate with us.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah. You have Elizabeth in New Jersey. I've been trying to rediscover myself with so much isolation. How do I make myself more confident to step into the outside world again?
Well, it takes courage to do that, because when we isolate, right?
Yeah.
So it's really, yeah. So, I mean, one, it's really shoring up our own self-worth and our own self-confidence. And then kind of knowing what it is that, when we drop into our gifts, like that's where, the work that I do talks about, where we learn to embrace our gifts. And those are things like what are the things that we had fun with? What are the things that we love to do? Right? That can help us identify our gifts. And those are the things that we want to bring to the world. Right? So when you're reinventing yourself, those are some of the things that you want to take a look at. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good. And good luck to you, Elizabeth. Hey, Susan Goodrich, tell everyone if there's something that you want us to think about until next time. And then once again, tell us how to get a hold of you. Another great show.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Where do I want to hang in a second? Well, I do have a quote here.
Okay, I love the quotes.
The quote, because the minute you realize your worth, you shift your energy to attract new people who respect your worth. And it starts with you first. Like
that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely good.
Yeah.
And how do people get a hold of you one more time?
Okay. Susan, transformwithsue.com. That's the website. Or you can email me at transformwithsue@gmail.com.